Deal of the week. We need to come up with some fun like sponsors and terminology and all that. But we're not worried about that right now. Our goal is to just provide good value, like have a good podcast, have a good show, visually and then audio for you all, and teach and give value. Then we'll figure out all that other stuff, fun stuff. So we'll come up with some jingle for Deal of the Week. But right now it's just Deal of the Week. So this is my very first flip. Now, not my very first deal. This was in 2016 is when Lucas and I did this deal. We had probably 8 or 9 rentals at this point. You see, our initial thought was to buy rentals to replace our income, and we quickly realized that was not going to ever happen. We had to get active income, so we started to get into the flipping game, and this was our very first flip. This was a burn house, meaning there was a big fire in the house, and the roof got replaced, and that was it. So this house was literally our first major rehab, our first fix and flip, and this is typical Lucas and Sam style. This thing was down to the studs. I'm telling you, there was an electric box in the basement that was on, but there was no wires ran throughout the house, so there's no electric through the house. There was no insulation. There was it was sticked up. There was some stick walls, but that was it. Obviously, the external was fine. They got that all buttoned up, but internally, you walk in the house, you're talking hard. You're not talking hardwood. You're talking like plywood floors. You're talking no insulation, no drywall, no paint, no cabinets, no anything, just wood, no electric. No HVAC ran, nothing, because it was burned and watered and damaged and everything. So, that was an interesting way to start the deal. So I'm going to kind of show you the numbers, talk through the numbers a little bit with you, kind of give you some insight on what our very first deal looked like. And then we're going to talk lessons learned, which I think is probably the most important part. So stick around for that. So we actually got the property from our future business partner. We didn't know it at the time. I was just looking at pictures of this that we were going to use to kind of flash up here. To show you like, the befores and afters and things like that, as you'll see popping up if you're watching the recording. But, I was looking back at this time, and we just got back from Luke's bachelor party, which is kind of funny. He was getting married during this process. And we were, we both had full-time jobs, and we decided, hey, let's buy a burn house as our first flip, because the numbers just looked pretty good. We ended up buying it from a local house buying company called Faster House, which Lucas and I own now, which is kind of unique and ironic. So we bought it from the former owner, Brian. At the time I talked with him, I remember going to get fitted for Lucas for a tux for Lucas's wedding, and I negotiated and we got it for $82,000. So we used a private money lender to buy it for that $82,000, and we figured it needed like 50, 60 grand, was worth 220, 230. So we're like, there's a $70K spread here. Let's do this and let's get $70K, which is at the time what Luke's made in a year. So we're like, let's do this. Little did we know it was going to cost a lot more work than we thought. A shocker there. We're still running into that. And then we didn't quite sell it for what we thought, because the market wasn't super strong in 2016. So we bought the property. We ended up putting about $85,000 in it. So we got, the 82 to buy it. We got 50 grand from our private lender, and we had to go back to him a couple times and get more. He had done a few deals with us on our rentals, so he was, pretty comfortable with us, and he came and checked on the property a few times to realize, it just needs more than we thought. We did a ton of the work ourselves. You can see pictures that will have popped up or will pop up. Lucas painting and the entire house with, without having a suit on. The backyard had an above ground pool that was just needed to be taken out. It was a nightmare. I remember getting bids on insulation and drywall, getting 3 bids on everything from like basically new build style. So we've never done a new build, but we kind of did on our very first flip. So, got pretty much everything replaced, or everything was replaced in the house. So we ended up taking like probably 8 months to do this, 9 months to do this, so way longer than we thought. So our money costs were over, our rehab costs went over. So we were probably all in this thing for 175-ish, 180, and we listed it at 219 to try to, get a little bit, at least get a little bit out of it, and ended up dropping it a couple of times. We sold it for 208. And I don't know the exact amount. I think we probably made 25-ish, 20 to 25,000 on this, which isn't horrible. We learned a lot, but I mean, it took us 9 months. we probably spent a couple hundred hours each there. So it was not a very good use of our time, aside from what we learned. What we learned was much more valuable than the money we made on it. So probably, you know, after taxes and all those things, you know, we were each able to pocket $9 grand or something like that max. So good, okay, not great for sure, but we learned a lot. So some of the lessons that we learned were, you know, don't get in over your head. Obviously, be a little more conservative on your time frames and your rehab budgets. And I just remember doing things like, did we need to do that? So it was a 3-2. It had a you know, one side of the house had like, you know, a dining room and a kitchen. The other side of the house had 2 bedrooms and a shared bath, hallway bath, and then a master with a master bath. And we thought, you know, if someone's buying this house that's a small family and they have people over, they're not going to want to have people, you know, going to the bathroom and washing their hands in their kid's bathroom. So we ended up adding a half bath by the laundry room, which sounds simple, but it wasn't. There you see some pictures if you're watching. There's Lucas and our main contractor, Brian. We ended up, you know, having to dig out there's Lucas just crushing those hurricane clips. But we had to dig out the cut and dig out. Now we had someone hired to do it, to create a drain flow in the basement. So, you know, we added a half bath, but then we had to cut out the concrete, dig, get buckets of cut up concrete and dirt up the stairs because there wasn't a walkout, to dump outside, to then put in the pipes to add the half bath, to then reconcrete over top of that. So again, it was, you know, did we really need to do that? Was that half bath that important? It was definitely a great bonus, but, you know, the market wasn't super strong at the time. We ended up not selling for really anywhere near asking, honestly, about 95% of asking. So, you know, did we need to do stuff like that? Was it too big of a project? I feel like we kind of made it work the best we could, and we learned a lot. But in general, it just was probably a little bit too big for us. We probably could have done 2 smaller flips in that same time frame and made more money. There you can see we did really nice stuff. Like we added those you know, quarter walls and those and you know, those beams that added the curves again because it was just sticks. So we added quite a bit, and we didn't cut any corners. We made it really nice. In fact, I just looked it up. It is currently a rental, and it's worth well over $300,000 right now. So think of it that way. It you know, so it last sold in 21, so it's gone up. It last sold 21 for $300,000. So you can see pictures of it if you're watching right now on the screen, and it was you know, so it's gone up since 2021. Everybody knows that. So it's probably $340,000 house. And you know, so it was worth $208,000 in 2016. So in 7 years, it's gone up 50% in value. So just do the math there. That real estate's in a good area of town, a nice little neighborhood that's affordable. You know, a 2,000 square foot ranch, 3 bath with a basement and a nice backyard for $340,000. So it's still 320, whatever you want to call it. So still a good deal, but yeah, just goes to show the craziness and the power of real estate. What happens over a short period of time in a good area. In a good market. So learned a lot of lessons, but in general, just found out that it was a little bit more than we should have been getting into, but we made it work and learned a ton and made some good connections with some contractors that we still use to this day, but we put a lot of time and effort into it. And I remember on listing, the morning that we listed it, we ended up having a pretty major leak on the outside of the house. This is crazy. So you'll see the pictures. If it's not popped up, you'll see it in the B-roll, but on the recording. But like there was a water pipe going from the street to the house, from the main sewer supply or the main water supply to the house, and there was a root about the size. There you go. You see Brian inside that hole. We dug that all by hand. There was a root probably the size of 2 softballs that had engulfed that pipe, and then just over 30 years probably, and just the day that we listed was there. You see the picture of that. Look at that. The day that we listed, just squeezed it a little too tight, and it caused this huge mud pit in the front of the house that we had to you know, dig up, find where the leak was, right? Because you're digging through mud and water, and the water fills up. and then you shut off the water, but the street, we had to find that, but the water fills it up and gets muddy and you can't find. It's not like it's digging through something that you can just blocks and pull them away and see where the leak is. So anyways, that was just stuff like that happens. It was definitely interesting to learn it and see it, but that's kind of what happens with real estate. Luke and I have always been pretty good about just rolling with the punches, and that's kind of, I think, why we are where we are today. So that was that first deal. We learned a lot. Hopefully you found some interesting things and realized that it does take a lot of, you have to go wade through a lot of shit to actually to see any substantial positives on the other side in any avenue, real estate notwithstanding.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button, comment with something you learned, and make sure to subscribe to this channel. We give away more free advice on how to create wealth based on things we actually do every single day than any other channel on YouTube. Make sure to share this with a friend, because our mission is to inspire you to think differently about freedom.